Now, in the female loneliness epidemic age, a lot of women live boring lives and are more lonely than you think.
This is so false. He had to create an AI image to show us that women are lonely. What was the prompt exactly? Women of multiple nationalities with solemn and glum faces looking down, preferably watercolor.
Talk about why modern women are lonelier than ever? Because nobody wants to admit the real reason. I see it everywhere. Successful women with amazing careers, perfect Instagram feeds, but they're absolutely miserable and isolated. And I know because I used to be one of them. We were told that independence was everything, that we didn't need anyone, that needing people was weakness, so we built these perfect little walls around ourselves. We chose careers over relationships, being right over being loved, and proving ourselves over connecting with others. We pushed away anyone who tried to get close to us because we had to be strong. And now we're sitting in our perfectly decorated apartments, scrolling through dating apps, wondering why we feel so empty inside. We have everything modern feminism promised us, but we've never been more alone. Because the truth is, humans are wired for connection. Especially women, we need community, partnership, and deep relationships. But we've been convinced that wanting these things makes us weak or pick-me's. The loneliness epidemic isn't an accident. It's what happens when you tell women to reject everything that actually fulfills them. You can have all the success in the world, but if you don't have real connection, you have nothing.
I'm so tired of hearing about the male loneliness epidemic, so let's talk about the female loneliness epidemic, because we're experiencing one too. The one where men treat you like you're some fantasy object, and the moment they realize you're an actual human being with thoughts, feelings, and emotions, they're gone. Or when they want you for your body, but never have any intention of actually getting to know it or respecting it. Or when they want you for your emotional intelligence, even though they have no intention of ever reciprocating it. Or when they want you for what you can do for them, but they don't want you for who you are. That's loneliness. Crying yourself to sleep every night next to a partner who claims to love you even though his actions never follow his words, that's loneliness. Being too afraid to open yourself up to love and opening yourself up to men because we live in a world where SA, domestic violence, and femicide is so normalized, that's loneliness. The difference is that the male loneliness epidemic is self-inflicted and the female loneliness epidemic is self-preservation.
We are now in the female loneliness epidemic age.
Hey, so if you have to AI generate an image of women being sad about this to prove your point that women are sad about this, then maybe it's not a very good point, you know? If anything, you describe their dream of being left alone. That's their paradise, I think. So, hope this helps. Fucking weirdo.
In 20 years, we're going to have an epidemic of older women, single, unhappy, sold a fantasy by modern feminism. I heard this quote today, and it made me think because it might actually turn out that way. These new ideas around feminism combined with social media have reshaped the way most women think. They're no longer interested in normal guys, right? An average guy with a regular life, a regular job, he stands no chance. Women today are aiming for money, status, the top tier, the 1%. And this is because of social media. The second biggest problem is feminism convinced women that working for a company that doesn't even know who they are, doesn't care about them, and making their own money, having their own money so they can be independent, that's better than building a family, raising children, taking care of their men. That's, social media combined with modern feminism. That's what reshaped the way women think. Yes, because of that, we're going to have an epidemic of older women, single and unhappy.
The female loneliness epidemic is here, and I'm here for it. This is what happens when you sit out here and you promote these pandering content creators who play to your hurt emotions, your bitterness, and your terrible experiences. So that way y'all get online and you spew, vitriol and hatred toward men because you know what? You had some bad dealings with a couple of them. And now my timeline is filled up with women complaining about where's all the good men at? Where are the men at for this? Where are the men at for that? Where's the men that want to go on dates? Where's the men that yearn? Where's the men that court? Where's the men that do da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da? And now my new timeline is filled up with where's all the men at for the singles events? Where it's nothing but women at singles events. It's like 95% women at these singles events. What happened? Where's the men? The men listen. Y'all thought that making these videos go viral, these content creators who try to, pander and manipulate to your emotions and your bad experiences, you thought talking shit and bashing men was going to be fun. It was fun for the moment. It helped you feel good, right? But men paid attention to that shit. Realized a lot of you don't even like men. And now y'all got all these women out here begging, crying, where's all the men? Well, maybe you should hold women accountable.
If you take a look at the screen right here, these are the most popular searches currently for the past few days or so on this app. And if you see here, struggling with loneliness has the highest search popularity with 1.55 million search popularity. When I tapped on the struggling with loneliness search popularity here, we can see that in the past 7 days, it's gone up by 344%. My mind immediately jumped to what all the news articles in mainstream media are pointing to as a big problem in our country, and that is the, quote, male loneliness epidemic. But see, something that this app also lets you do is you can look at the demographics of who's searching this, and you'll be surprised to see that of the searches, 78% searching that they're struggling with loneliness on this app are women, females, with 96% of them being here in the United States. And it looks as though that it's mostly millennials and Gen Z. This data right here flies in the face of what all these intellectuals are writing in their articles about the quote-unquote male loneliness epidemic. Are we going to see a slew of articles now concerned about millennial and Gen Z women? Of course not. No. Society just won't care enough. And to anyone who's feeling lonely, the first thing I would say to you is, do you understand your loneliness? Have you asked your loneliness why it's there? I know that sounds weird, but for me, I used to feel lonely even in a room full of people. And I became okay with my loneliness so much so that I started to wish that I was invisible. It didn't matter that I was a mom to a healthy, beautiful child because that didn't heal my loneliness. My loneliness was there regardless. Because for me personally, my loneliness was rooted in my lack of self-love and my lack of self-esteem. And so your loneliness may be rooted in something different than how mine was. And that's why I always say, figure out where your loneliness is rooted in. I looked within myself 5 years ago, and that's when I came to the conclusion that my loneliness, my discontentment was rooted in a lack of self-love and self-esteem. And that's when I decided once and for all, I was going on a self-love journey. And I didn't have anyone guiding me. I just said, I'm going to put one foot in front of the other, and I'm just going to do the next best thing I know how. And when all else fails, I'm going to tell myself everything will be okay. And I started out my self-love journey just by looking at myself in the mirror and telling myself, you're beautiful, you are worthy of love, you are a kind person, you're a good-hearted person. And at first it felt so uncomfortable. I was clearly lying to myself in the mirror. It felt uncomfortable for about a month, but I kept at it. And eventually that discomfort that I felt when I would tell myself nice and kind things in the mirror, it went away. Within about 3 or 4 months, I noticed that the patterns in my brain, they shifted. The voices in my head, they weren't so mean anymore. If you struggle with that, I challenge you to just go into the mirror, and even when it feels like your skin is crawling, even when it feels so uncomfortable, like you're lying to yourself, I want you to gaslight yourself and look in the mirror and tell yourself, even if you don't believe it, you are beautiful, you are powerful, you are worth it, you are wonderful, you deserve love, and you deserve to love yourself. I was miserable for so long. And I completely transformed my life 5 years ago when I decided to finally choose to accept myself, to love myself, to befriend myself. And that loneliness, that's a part of my past. I have less people in my life now than I did then, and I don't feel that loneliness anymore. So if you were like me and your loneliness was rooted in a lack of self-love, in a lack of self-esteem, then comment down below, because this is something that I love to talk about, because when I tell you, I don't even recognize my life anymore.
There's an epidemic of single ladies in their 30s, of people asking them if they're afraid they're going to end up alone, or rushing them into feeling like they're running out of time. We need to have babies. We need to have husbands, blah, 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 blah. I had like a moment yesterday where I was like, literally, who cares? I'm like, wait, what? If this is my worst case scenario right now, I am blessed. I have a beautiful home on the water. I pay my own bills. I have freedom. Not that relationships don't equal freedom, but it's just more responsibility. Kids are more responsibility. Are there plus sides to all those things? Do I want all those things? Yes. But I want all those things in the right time, because what's worse than not getting those things? Rushing those things and not being ready for those things, or forcing something. That's all worse, okay? But I was just thinking, I'm like, if you are not happy with your worst case scenario, if that does not satisfy you, you need to work on building your life and making it your dream. The more that I love my life, the better. For everybody involved or not involved. The happier I am, the better. I look around my place sometimes too, and I'm just like, I couldn't live here with a man. This would not be possible. Like, how do I explain to my man that our shower curtain is baby blue polka dots, you know, with frills at the bottom? I get to do whatever the heck I want in here, in this place. I want to see more women in their 30s, like, loving life.
Everything they say, everything they do, everything they think prioritizes selfish happiness. And the happiness depends on what popular culture tells them it is. I've said it 1,000 times. Anytime you want to talk about dating or women's preferences, they're followers. They've always been followers throughout history. Look back at any time. Women date alongside of pop culture. The music that they listen to, whatever they watch, the circles they run in, whatever the crowd tells them is hot and in style is what they're going to date. 10 times out of 10. And don't come at me with the rarities, because rarities are rarities. The exception doesn't make the rule. And being almost 40 years old, ever since I was a teenager, I mean, popular culture has been nothing but trash. Nothing but anti-family. In fact, I got an experiment for you guys, a little thought experiment. If you're a millennial or younger, hell, maybe a little older too, I guess, think back to when you were growing up. Did you ever see popular culture, with whether it's music or movies or television, commercials, mainstream media, whatever? Have you ever seen popular culture popularize healthy traits, healthy relationships, healthy behaviors? As a millennial growing up, the only thing I saw was healthy things being made fun of. I mean, anything healthy. If you were spiritual and religious, made fun of. If you were respectful, made fun of. If you were traditional, made fun of. If you wanted a traditional, healthy relationship, made fun of. So my entire life, the push that I saw from pop culture and mainstream media was to demonize what was healthy and to popularize filth, trash, degeneracy, and so on. I gave into it plenty. I have my regrets there. But with women being the followers that they are, they have bought it, hook, line, and sinker. And they still do to this day. The ones that are waking up and realizing the way they've been acting and the things they've been desiring were false, garbage, filth, meaningless, they realize it at 40 and 45 years old. And then they get offended when men that have kept their head down and been taking it on the chin for years while they just work in silence, trying to build their bodies and build a career, save money or whatever. They're trying to become a better man, however that looks to you. Those same women now get offended when the men that have been suffering in silence while they grind and grind and grind, when those men won't marry them at 40 or 45 and have a family with them. The head of the snake is the media, in my opinion. It's the disgusting music, the trashy television, the movies, and younger people are just being entrenched in those worlds. Women too, might I add. Make no mistake. I see everyone talking about how bad the movies are for young men. I would argue they're worse for young women. Worse. We can get into that in another video. The female loneliness epidemic will be exploding very soon. And all of these feminists will be humbled now that they've prioritized their happiness for so long. I was thinking a little bit. I was thinking back to my childhood and looking at some of the women that I grew up around in my neighborhood, went to school with, and all of the ones that I still see to this day. Looking back, and I didn't notice it back then because I was so young, but as an adult now, I can look back and realize what it was, and I can recognize it now. Every millennial female that I grew up around or that I even saw on TV or anything, everything they said, the way they walked, the way they talked, every decision that they made was based on their happiness. Whatever happiness even looks like now, right? We can get into that a little more later. Everything they said, everything they did, every action, every move that they made, it was all centered around their happiness. To this day, if I see a photo of a traditional woman from the 1950s, or whatever, name the year, standing in a kitchen with an apron on, baking cookies, with two beautiful kids smiling at her. When I go through the comments, almost entirely, it's nothing but young women saying things like, "This is my prison. This looks like prison to me. Gross. I'm gonna be sick." And forever I would write that off as just like, oh, just fringe weirdos trying to be edgy. But I'm telling you guys right now, that's not rare. That's the majority of young women today. The majority of young women today, they see their mother, their grandmother, their great-grandmother, and as far back as you want to go. Most of young women today see them as prisoners, miserable. They were faking a smile because they had to. I never took the propaganda that serious when I heard it being pushed on women because I thought it was just so silly that anybody with half a brain would see through it. Looking back, though, and looking at the world now, it's clear that the feminist ideology has really, really become deeply rooted in almost every woman's mind. The silly, evil media-driven war on family and on children and on meaning, real meaning, I can't believe it was so successful. I can't believe they did such a good job at brainwashing so many young women away from real happiness and real meaning. And when you talk to men, most of them now, they're in a position where they either say, I don't care, it's too far gone, it's not my problem, or they go the complete other direction and say, hey man, I'm just going to wait till one of these women wake up and realize that they were wrong, and then I'm going to sweep in and save her life. Because let's get into that a little bit. I do see women that are waking up and are realizing that what they've been believing, what they've been brainwashed by is toxic and it's not real. But here's the problem. In my experience, every one of the women that I see who are waking up and realizing what's important in life, they're all like 40 years old, 45 years old. These are the women that you see crying on TikTok at 45 years old, saying, where's my person? I just want a family. I want my person. And even those women won't admit that they were making bad choices by spending 18 to 39 running around in nightclubs and God knows whatever else. Because as they've been convinced to prioritize their happiness, every decision that they make is steered by just toxic narcissism and greed and selfishness. Every decision. I mean, think for yourself. Think back to all the women that you grew up with, if you're a millennial or even younger now.
Also, why do we only ever hear about the male loneliness epidemic? Like, I really feel like if you were on the internet, you would think that the only loneliness epidemic was a male loneliness epidemic that was going on. But, like, no, like, the girlies are also having, like, issues when it comes to, like, the friendship department. That is very much something that's going on, okay? And I keep looking at all these videos, and I'm realizing, oh, it's because of the fact that, like, women are generally better at, like, community building and showing up for each other, and, like, women are made to be more social and, like, punished if they're not, like, good social beings more. So I feel like we generally have, like, less friendship problems than men, and men, like, rely on the labor of women in order to, like, have friends. Like, that whole idea of, like, husbands don't have friends, they just have their wives' husbands, their wives' friends' husbands as friends. Anyway, I hope you followed along. Anyway, like, men don't really, like, they're not made to be social the way that women are made to be social, but I still don't feel like that, like, negates the fact that, like, women also struggle with friendships. But I think then, like, there is no social infrastructure, there is no, like, conversation had about that, there is no way to, like, try and remedy that, like, specifically for women, because it's just this idea of, like, oh no, like, but, like, women are so social, like, everybody likes women, like, women are the ones that they throw the dinner parties, and everybody wants to be friends with women. Like, that doesn't make sense. I know so many women across the age spectrum, like women my age who are, like, or in undergrad, or, like, even women in their late 20s, who are all, like, really suffering in the friendship department. And I feel like we act like that's not something that's happening, and it's just making the problem worse.
Here's something that I don't see anyone talking about, and it's the female loneliness epidemic. I just turned 23, and I am officially done with looking for new friends, because nowadays, girls are fucking impossible to make friends with. And before you call me a pick-me, hear me out. In my experience, young women today do not know what it means to be a friend. They expect everyone, including other women, to chase them the same way men chase them romantically. It's always me texting first, it's always me making plans, it's always me arranging reservations to make hangouts happen, only to be told the day of that, like, oh, something came up, / they straight up admit that they forgot. And they're like, oh, I'm so sorry, girl. And their I'm so sorries are never followed up by, let me make it up to you, how about we do this or this instead. It's always just, I'm so sorry, blank. All these girls want to do is just be Instagram mutuals. They want to like your posts, they want you to like theirs, they want to swipe up on your story. They want, like, little crumbs of your attention, but they are not actually looking for, like, a real life friend with, like, substance and value. And I don't know if any of you have ever used Bumble BFF, but, like, don't. It is a bigger waste of time than, like, actual dating apps for, like, meeting men. And I've had a handful of bad experiences on there, but I'll just tell you about, like, the 2 most recent ones. So it's this girl, we match, we talk a little bit on Instagram. I see we have a couple, like, hobbies in common. It's going well. We arrange to meet for a drink. And so we go, we have a drink together. It was, like, I think, like, after work for me, so I was, like, really tired. It was only, like, 2 hours, and then we went home. We both agreed that it, like, went really well, and I was convinced that we were going to see each other again. I had to chase this girl for months to meet up again. And it wasn't me not getting the hint, mind you, because she was still texting me every day. She's like, I want to see you so bad. I want to see you so bad. But something keeps coming up. Oh my God, I'm in college. It's so busy, blah, blah, blah. And, like, at the time I was working part-time. So, like, I objectively had, like, more free time than her. So whatever. Okay, sure. I kept, like, sending her, like, invites to, like, different events, like, ads I see on Instagram, like, blank event on this date at this time, and it was always like, oh, I can't, oh, this, oh, that, I'm sorry, I've got this going on, blah, 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 never offering, like, anything on her end. I remember the month of March rolled around, and she goes, okay, girl, I'm just gonna be straight up with you. I cannot meet you all month in March because it's exam season. First of all, I'm so fucking sick of hearing this shit that it's, like, exams. It's exams all the time. Like, right now, I'm, like, doing a gap year, so I'm working. And, like, all my friends are, like, my age, college age. And they always have fucking exams all the time. And it's, like, I'm sorry, but I don't know, maybe I just, like, you know, I'm a business major and, like, we're stereotyped for, like, having easy majors, but that's not how exams work. The way exams work is you start, like, a semester and you have class, and then there's, like, midterms for, like, 3 days. You do the midterms and then you go back to class. There's no month full of exams. But whatever, I'm like, okay, fine. I do not bother her all March. April rolls around. On April 1st, I literally sent her an event, like a clubbing thing, restaurant, activity. I don't remember, some bullshit I saw on TikTok. and the date was like April 5th. She's like, oh, sorry, I can't make it. Okay. I wait a couple more days, say it's like April 4th, and I sent her like an event on April 30th. So like at the end of the month. She's like, oh my God, I have plans that day. I'm so sorry. I was like, you know what? Okay, girl. Okay. And I just stopped trying. I waited for her to send me something, offer me anything, make any sort of plans. And she just never did. And I just stopped like replying to her, like sending me random reels and like random bullshit. So this was girl number 1. Now girl number 2, it was a similar situation. They were both happening at the same time. It's this girl, same thing. We match super good chemistry through text. Like we're just like laughing, you know, sending each other voice memos. We have so much in common. We agree on so many topics. We're just vibing. I'm like, oh my God, I really see like a really good friendship with this person. I end up finally meeting her for the first time at the club, because like I was convoluted story, but I ended up like at the club with this guy I was seeing at the time, and she was there, and we just like danced for 5 minutes, and then she was like, oh girl, I gotta go, I'll be right back. Didn't come back, and I ended up like leaving with the guy like an hour later. Anyway, we get back to texting. I'm like, when can we hang out like properly, like, you know, like face to face during the daytime so we can like talk, you know? She's like, girl, definitely not this month because it's Ramadan. I'm thinking to myself, like, as far as I'm aware, during Ramadan, you are allowed to go outside, you know? Like, Muslims, during Ramadan, they go to work, they go to school, they do stuff. You know, we don't have to go to a restaurant or anything. Like, we can just, like, take a walk in the park. Like, it's not that serious. But I'm like, okay, you know, I'm not going to argue with you about religion. Over the course of the month, I see her hanging out with other people though, like on her story. And at first I'm like, okay, you know what? Maybe I'm not a priority, you know, like we don't know each other that well, sure. But eventually I confront her. I'm a little bit like, oh, I thought you were not doing anything. You were not allowed to do anything this month. She's like, first of all, mind your business. Half of the posts I put up are like throwbacks, so they're not current, and the other half is me and my sister. So like, if you don't know any better, like, close your mouth. I'm like, okay, no problem. Ramadan ends, April rolls around, and guess what? Never hear from her ever again. I just moved into this new place that you can see right now. It's like really, really messy. And I decided to have a housewarming party where I just invited like my roommates, obviously, and a group of like my closest friends or just like people that are in my life like currently. 2 girls that I invited did not show up. I let both of them know about the party like 2 weeks ahead. The day of, I send both of them a text like, hey, so we're gonna start at this time. This is the address. Hope to see you soon. The party was supposed to start at 6, and they both text me back at around like 3 or 4 p.m. And one of them goes, oh my God, girl, I'm so sorry. I can't make it today. I'm like super sick. I'm just like throwing up like in bed. I'm like so sick. And it's like, if you were that sick, then it probably didn't happen today. You couldn't have texted me last night. You had to text me the day of, like 2 hours prior. Like, you waited also for my text before you canceled. You couldn't have like let me know like, hey girl, I know that you're gonna be cooking food for like X amount of people for today. Like, don't worry, like count me out. You don't have to like make a portion for me. You couldn't do that. And then the other girl was like, oh my God, girl, I'm so sorry. I forgot I have to hand in a school project for tomorrow. Again, this is not how college works. Like, maybe she's like a different major, okay. But this is not high school where like you get a homework assignment on Monday and you have to hand it in for Friday. No. Your professor tells you about like 1 or 2 big projects that you have to hand in by the end of the semester, and you progressively work on it like little by little over the course of months. I'm just saying, there's no way, number one, that girl was actually sick. and the other girl had a school project to hand in, they just didn't want to come, and they didn't even have the decency to let me know ahead of time, come up with something smarter. Like, they were not even gonna say anything. If I hadn't texted them the day of, they would have pretended like nothing happened. And this is why I am done just trying. Like, I'm done. Like, if like a female friend like falls from the sky for me, then yeah, of course, you know, like if we meet, I start a new job and like a girl that works there like I really like, and like of course, but no more looking, no more taking my hand out and saying, hey, do you want to take this friendship to the next level, come to my house, come hang out with me. No more making the first move on people, because it just takes up too much mental space and yields basically no results. It's just a waste of time. So yeah, let me know what your experience has been like. Let me know how you feel, but this is how I feel right now. So
a girl posted a video about how we are in a single epidemic, like an overwhelmingly large amount of people who are single, yet everyone seems to be looking for love. And I'd like to add my 2 cents as to why I think that is. I think it's 3 main things. I think 1, everything has to be social media approved now. It's not enough for you to find somebody that makes you happy. You also have to find someone that is going to put you in a relationship where you're able to brag about it all on social media, and that's not helpful. 2, the idea that there is going to be this perfect person who completely understands you upon meeting them, and you won't have to communicate the way that you want to be treated, and you won't have to have these tough conversations, and everything will just work out perfectly. That's not helpful. And then 3, which I think is like probably the most deadly, and something that I myself am very guilty of, is that we have gotten so far into like encouraging everyone to be independent and be happy on their own, which is important. I say it all the time. It is very important. But I think that we're kind of in a point where we've overcorrected. Like, you keep seeing this rhetoric of like, oh, you don't owe people this, you don't owe people that, like, you don't have to put up with that. And I think that you guys are missing the fact that like when you are in a relationship with someone, even if it's not romantic, even in a friendship, there are going to be aspects of this relationship that are not necessarily pleasant all the time. And the solution can't always be, well, never mind, I'm just going to be single, I'm just going to be by myself, or let's just go no contact, let's just not even be friends anymore. That's not the solution. Everything cannot be solved by, oh, I'll just be by myself and let's just not do this anymore. That's not how you stay in a relationship. Yes, you do need to be independent. Yes, you need to get to a place where you are happy on your own. But if you want to be in a relationship, it is going to come with tough decisions, and decisions that will come where you could make the choice to say, I'm just going to be single, let's just not try anymore. Or you could compromise and be patient and be forgiving. Like, being in a relationship of any sort, again, not even romantic, being in any sort of relationship is going to cause you to have some sort of a conflict. And you can't solve conflict if your very first or last answer is to just say, let's forget it. Let's just split up. That's not how you stay together. I'm glad and I'm grateful that society, and women specifically, really women, have moved past the point of needing to be in a relationship because, like, if you weren't attached to a man, then you could not provide for yourself. I'm glad for that. But the reason why your grandparents and all of them stayed together was because they had to stay together and they didn't have any choice. And that it's great that we're not in that anymore. But I do think in order to maintain a long-term partnership, especially someone you want to be with for the absolute rest of your life, you do need to have a mindset of like, okay, I'm going to be in this. Like, leaving actually is not an option. Like, I'm going to stay and I'm going to make this relationship the best that I can make it, because that's what I committed to. That's what I decided to do. And leaving and being by myself is not an option. But when everybody is so quick to say, let's just give up, throw my hands up and walk away, you can't stay together that way. That doesn't make any sense. And again, this is something that I'm guilty of. I've talked about this multiple times. Like, I'm the very first person to throw my hands up and say, just don't call me no more. Leave me alone. But again, that's not how you stay in a relationship. And I think that a lot of us are at that place, both men and women, where we have decided it's easier to just be by myself. And yes, it is easier in a lot of ways for you to be by yourself, but that doesn't mean that that is the answer, especially since there's only so much growing and self-development and healing that you can do when you're by yourself. Once you get to a certain point, you need someone there to reflect you back to you. You need someone to show you your shortcomings. You need somebody to show you the things in you that still need to be healed. So being single and being alone and just giving up on having relationships as soon as they get tough is not the answer. And I really do think that is why we're in such an epidemic.
The female loneliness epidemic is here, and I'm here for it. This is what happens when you sit out here and you promote these pandering content creators who play to your hurt emotions, your bitterness, and your terrible experiences. So that way y'all get online and you spew, vitriol and hatred toward men because you know what? You had some bad dealings with a couple of them. And now my timeline is filled up with women complaining about where's all the good men at? Where are the men at for this? Where are the men at for that? Where's the men that want to go on dates? Where's the men that yearn? Where's the men that court? Where's the men that do da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da? And now my new timeline is filled up with where's all the men at for the singles events? Where it's nothing but women at singles events. It's like 95% women at these singles events. What happened? Where's the men? The men listen. Y'all thought that making these videos go viral of these content creators who try to, pander and manipulate to your emotions and your bad experiences, you thought talking shit and bashing men was going to be fun. It was fun for the moment. It helped you feel good, right? But men paid attention to that shit. Realized a lot of you don't even like men. And now y'all got all these women out here begging, crying, where's all the men? Well, maybe you should hold women accountable.